Welcome to MRP TV. We're your hosts. I'm Noah Sears, brand manager.
And I'm Sarah Allen, marketing coordinator.
Welcome to the first ever show of MRP TV. With this platform, we hope to answer any questions you might have about MRP suspension, drivetrain products, keep you up to date on product and athlete news, and we'll have at least one special presentation per episode.
Yeah, and without further ado, we'll jump right into it. This is our special presentation this month, a tour of our facility here at MRP.
Check it out! Welcome to headquarters here in hot and sunny Grand Junction, Colorado. Come on in. Boom. Here we have the front office. We got Billy here, our director of awesomeness.
Hi.
She's who you hear on the other side of the phone if you ever call the office. Over here we have our sales team. Here's Nick, seller of things. Enjoying his afternoon Mountain Dew. We work hard here. We need a little afternoon pick-me-up like a Mountain Dew to keep us going. Come on over here to the marketing department. Here we got a ping pong table. This is to blow off some steam or settle some competitive edges or instincts that we all have. This is also where we have like some, this doubles as our conference table. So we have some meetings. Yeah, there's the backdrop for the TV show that you're watching right now. Over here, Sarah's office. I don't know where she is at the moment. I think she's out today. Actually, just kidding, she's operating the camera. She is our marketing coordinator. Right here is my office. I'm the brand manager here. So yeah, I do some of the graphic design, a little bit of the aesthetic design of the products. I have 3 Macs right now. That's not normal. I just got another one, so I don't always have 3 computers on my desk. That's not normal. Anyway, let's go over here. We have a little photo cubicle that we use if we get new products in. It's where we shoot some product photography. Yeah, that's that. And we have a conference room in here. This is where we Skype on the big screen with a lot of our customers and have all kinds of meetings and stuff like that. We got some old MRP bash guards, guide rings here on the wall with some pretty famous names. Marla Streb, Greg Benar, Eric Carter, Sabrina Janier, Eric Carter again. Joe Kittner, she's back on MRP after a hiatus. Glad to have her. Yeah, this is the conference room. Now we'll go to the machine shop where raw materials get turned into parts. This is the machine shop. We've got a variety of machines in here, all kinds of mills and lathes. We make a lot of our back plates here, pretty much all the internal parts for the forks, knobs, axles, all kinds of stuff. Let's see what they got going right now. Right here we have some drawbars for an axle. Looks like this is going to eventually be a fork top cap. Maybe some prototype parts right here. Keep your eyes peeled. What could this be? Carbon back plates. We even cut carbon on these machines. And looks like 1-by. So that's about it. Let's go over to the other side. We have our giant cooler. And let's see what's going on in the test room. Oh, hey Cole. What's happening now? As you can see right now, we have some forks being dynoed. Every single MRP fork is put on the dyno before it ships to the customer to make sure that all the damping functions, air spring functions, background stiction, ram control, all those functions are performing identically and perfectly. So we ran it through a battery test to make sure all those things are working. It's pretty cool. This is where we make all the chain guides. So it starts out as just small parts like back plates, and then you put it together with the various other small parts like upper guide parts, skids, all kinds of stuff. That's Lynn.
Oh no.
Surprise! Surprise! She makes all of the aftermarket guides for the whole world and for all domestic like OEM products. So she makes a lot of guides all day, every day. Over here we have a shelf of springs. There's a lot of springs. We know we make the MRP raised coil shock. These are all springs for that. So various different weights, lengths, etc. Let's go back here. This is Eric's zone. He's our service manager. So this is where we, taking forks that have come in for service, this is where we fix them. He's not here right now, but usually he would be back here working on damper bleeds, seal changes, you know, all the various stuff that you do to suspension forks. Going over here, it's just a sub-assembly station. Ramp control units on this side. So these are very popular, world famous ramp controls. These are all the small parts involved with those. That's where they're assembled. This is rear shock parts. So like I was saying, the MRP raised shocks. These are all the parts that go into those. Low speed compression knobs, high speed compression knobs, all the various parts. This is the giant drum of oil. Here we have a technician working on a fork. All the forks are handmade one by one as the order comes in. So it's not like we have a whole bunch just sitting on the shelf. Once the order comes in, we assemble them from all the small parts. So stanchions, sear tubes, crowns all get pressed together. And then it goes through and we set up the air spring for whatever travel length is supposed to be, whatever wheel size is supposed to be. And then eventually, after it sees coal and passes all the battery of tests, then it comes over here for final assembly. So it gets the stickers put on there. And yeah, final packaging, put in a box with instructions and everything else. And then eventually, well, then it looks like this after it has the stickers on there. And then it'll be packed up in a box. And that's the fork production process. Looks like we got some forks going over to vintage right here. These are destined for some really high-end electric mountain bikes, or electric bikes. They're more like old-school motorcycles. This is our little workshop area for our own personal bikes and our demo fleet. These are our Banshees. This is our demo fleet. We'll be taking these tomorrow to Snowmass, Colorado, and then in a few weeks to Oregon for another demo event. A couple employee bikes. So yeah, this is where we work on our own stuff. And then really the final stop in the process is just shipping them out. So this is where things would get boxed up and assembled and shipped out. Looks like we got some orders out here going to distributors. Looks like somebody bought a whole bunch of ramp controls. Somebody over here has got a whole bunch of guides. Got some forks going out the door as well. Now we'll go upstairs to the engineering wing. Follow me up. Everybody's got their doors closed. There must be some real serious stuff going on, but we can spy on
Peek in
them.
the windows.
Then we have Cole again. He's done dynoing things. Now he's designing things. Derek's in there designing things. Looks like he's designing a big green ring. I don't know what that'll be.
No idea that we're here.
And our other engineer, Scott, is actually out of the office today. But yeah, the second floor is the engineering wing. And yeah, you can see from up here the full assembly floor. Okay, let's go back downstairs, I guess. Come on back to the front office. So we can't forget to show what's in the fridge. Looks like we got some all kinds of beers. New Belgium Day Blazer. Looks like we got some applesauce. IPAs. Everybody's favorite PBR. Some Modelo. All kinds of delicious beer. Well, MRP Cribs, you saw my crib, gave you the tour. Now it's time for you to get out of here. We hope you enjoyed MRP Cribs. Now it's time to answer your questions about MRP suspension on a little segment we call Shock Talk.
Okay, this question comes from Nathan Forrest from Facebook, and he asks, how does each adjustment on our forks with the features change the overall ride experience?
That's a great question, Nathan. It's a very general question. It's a good question, but I guess what would make the most sense would be to go through all the adjustments that are available to you on our forks, primarily our ribbon and stage forks, for example, and kind of give you some insight on each adjustment and what that does, why you'd want to set it up towards one end of the tuning range versus the other. So we'll do that. And I happen to have a ribbon at my feet right now. This was not planned. It just happens. I always have one close by.
We just have them laying around.
So that was very handy. This was not staged at all. Okay, so on our forks, this is true for the Loop TR and the stage and the ribbon. We have basically 5 adjustments. You have, of course, your spring settings, so positive air pressure settings, negative air pressure settings. Then over on the damper side, you have rebound and compression. And then, of course, you have our sweet adjustment over here back on the air spring side, ramp control. Completely proprietary technology to MRP. Very powerful tuning tool. So starting with air spring tuning, first you would want to go with air spring pressure. And we have on our website a very comprehensive chart of what your air pressure should be. It's a pretty good range, and it's broken down into pounds, kilograms, even stone, based on body weight, what you should probably have your air pressure set at to achieve about 20% sag. And anywhere from 10 to 30% sag is completely appropriate. It's really a preference thing. Somebody who's a very aggressive descender or somebody that's maybe more cross-country efficiency oriented might run less sag, and conversely somebody who really likes to rock crawl or ride really technical slower speed stuff might have more sag. So that really comes down to preference, but that chart that we have on the website breaks it down on also has to do with fork travel length, because as you adjust the travel of a fork, you adjust the air volume size, and that'll dictate to what the appropriate pressure is to run at a given weight. So that's positive air pressure. Then we have negative air pressure down here at the bottom. On these forks, full fill air spring forks, you can set the negative air spring pressure independent of the positive. You can run it at an equal pressure setting or up to 10 psi higher. Running it higher will completely diminish any kind of breakthrough off the top. If you run, the max differential 10 psi higher in the negative, you'll notice putting any kind of weight into the handlebars or running over the smallest of pebbles will just let the fork just move very freely. So you have a fork that's extremely supple. That's great. For me, I like that. Somebody who comes from maybe more of a gated racing background or, like I said, a cross-country background, somebody who wants a more supported off-the-top feel might just run equal pressure. But that's something you can tune, so you can go anywhere from 0 psi more to 10 psi more in your negative chamber. Next up, once you've got your air spring pressure set up, rebound down here. Also down here is pretty handy. We have what the ranges are for all these different adjustments printed on the decal. So you can see here, rebound 18. That means there's 18 clicks to the total range. How many clicks you choose will mostly be dictated by what your air spring pressure is, what your spring rate is, and that's part of the chart that we have on our website. So you can imagine at the extreme side of things, if you're running a really high air pressure, you're going to need more rebound damping. That plus means more damping, slowing it down to combat the return spring force. So there's a range in there. I think the range that we prescribe is like within 2 clicks. So use that as a baseline. But in general, you want to run, well, use that as a baseline. I would say if you are riding the fork and you feel, here's some instances of things you can look at if you're experiencing these things. So if you feel like your fork is harsh at high speed, that's a symptom that maybe you're running too slow a rebound and your fork is packing down, where it doesn't have time essentially to re-extend after successive hits. And what ends up happening is your fork just starts packing down. It's not recovering, you just get less and less travel. That'll make it feel harsh at high speeds over successive hits. Another symptom of too fast rebound would be losing traction in corners, where you feel like springing out of a corner, your fork jumps offline, or it feels really skittery in corners. That's generally a symptom of having too fast rebound, where your front wheel is not tracking over the earth, over the trail. It's uncontrollably bouncing. So if you're experiencing that, you might want to add one more click of rebound. So clockwise, adding rebound. But we've developed through all of our demo events and everything that really comprehensive chart on our website. So definitely take a look at that and probably use that as a starting point and then go from there. There's very few instances where you would go like outside of those tuning ranges, more than a couple clicks. Running just really fast rebound for your air spring pressure is kind of a weird thing and would probably result in like topping out and other bad things.
You're pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, whereas like your air spring pressure, sag, even compression adjustments are kind of more of a preference. There is more of a tighter, finer, appropriate range for rebound, if that makes sense. Going over here to the top then, compression. On our forks, you can control low-speed compression. Low-speed compression is often misunderstood. The low-speed portion of that terminology is often misunderstood as like the speed of the ride or the speed of the bike. Like, oh, I'm going slow, it controls that. That's not the case. We're talking about shaft speed, so how fast the suspension is actually moving. So a low-speed compression event would be any kind of input you're putting in to the suspension fork. So like weight shifts fore or aft, or pedal-induced bob, that kind of thing. Those are low-speed compression events, as are small trail irregularities or obstacles. Basically stuff that's small and blunt, kind of like a little speed bump or something like that. That would be a low-speed compression event. High-speed compression is controlled actually in a circuit in our damper that functions as like a blow-off. So if you were to hit something that's like not blunt, like it's very sharp, like basically like running into a curb, our damper has a blow-off, so the fork will move seamlessly from low speed into a high speed. And then another way to control high-speed compression is via ramp control. And ramp control, instead of controlling your high-speed compression on the damper side, ramp control actually does that in the air spring and is using air as the damping fluid or the damping medium to control that. So a high-speed compression event, again, is like running into a curb or something very sharp where the fork has to move very quickly. Ramp control, regardless of where you put it, is almost invisible on low-speed events. So it's set independent of sag, and it's a 16-position adjustment. And basically what you're doing is controlling, there's another air chamber in our positive air chamber, and there's a port going into it, and adjusting this knob adjusts the preload on a valve going into that chamber. So at the max end of the adjustment, if you go all the way clockwise, it's very hard at high speed for air to go from the main section of the positive air chamber into that secondary chamber, and that creates a ramp up effect to the spring curve. and prevents the fork from blowing through the travel, from bottoming out, from reaching like this last 30 to 40 millimeters of travel. If you leave it more towards the open side, air just freely transits between the two, even at high speeds, and you have a generally more linear spring rate. So yeah, that's ramp control. It's a very effective and powerful tuning tool, I would say. The one thing I see commonly in terms of setup mistakes is people thinking like, oh, I'm a real rad rider. I need more.
16, all of it.
And it's kind of a graduated adjustment whereby the effect of ramp control between, say, click 1 and click 2 and click 9 and 10 is completely different, where 1 and 2 it's kind of hard to distinguish, but there's a very noticeable effect between like 9 and 10 and 10 and 11 and so on and so forth. So towards the end of the adjustment, towards the max end of the adjustment, it does have a lot of effect, and I generally recommend people start tuning by putting it in the middle setting, which would be 8 clicks, and then going a little bit here or there, kind of depending on what they're feeling.
Yeah.
And tuning to like more so in quarters, so like try 8 clicks, and then if you're still using the travel more frequent than you feel you should, then go up to 12, and then if that's still, not enough, go to 16, or vice versa. If you're at 8 and you're not using full travel, go down to 4, and then go down to 0, and then that anywhere in between those quarters is more of a fine-tune adjustment. But don't start at 0 and then go to 1, and then go to 2, and then go to 3. Kind of do it like I just said, like in quarters there. So I hope that helps. I think that's
cool.
Everything.
Covers everything with our forks. Yeah. Any further questions, you can always post on our Facebook page.
Yeah, if there's any specific setup questions you have, like I'm experiencing this, but when I adjust this, then I get this effect, you can always, let us know those, and we'll be happy to try to help you out with specific tuning questions, either on Facebook or email or wherever. We're happy to help.
Yep.
Cool. I think now it's time to move on to drivetrain questions in our little segment, guidance counseling.
You want.
What?
Okay, so for our guidance counseling this time, we have a message via Facebook. I believe this is from Jan Gales, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. But he asked, what is the weight difference between our carbon and alloy backplates, particularly on the AMG V2? We do have alloy and carbon options on some of our other guides as well.
Ooh, that's a very specific question.
Yes,
I don't know the exact weight difference, but we're going to put it right here in the video because I'm going to look it up and there'll be text right here. I think it's something on the order of, depending on the size, probably like 20 grams or so. And certainly that's one of the appeals of getting a carbon backplate, is that it's a little bit lighter. But unknown to a lot of people, another advantage of the carbon backplates is that carbon, when you strike it, if you have one of our integrated skid guides like the AMG or the SXG or the G4, if you're hitting that a lot, aluminum will bend over time, or if you take a monster hit, it'll bend. And then trying to re-straighten aluminum is really hard to do.
Yeah.
And it'll only bend back so many times before it gets too fatigued. Whereas carbon, when you strike it, it flexes back to its original shape. So we found that our carbon guides are actually the most durable. So
you want your long-term
a lot of
use out of it.
Yeah, a lot of times you recommend the carbon parts for just the weight weenies, but in this case, the carbon parts for the carbon backplate guides are good for weight weenies, and also the people out there that bash stuff all the time.
Right.
That's probably they're more premium, they're more expensive, but you won't be replacing it like you might with aluminum if you're striking it all the time. I don't think I've ever seen anybody try to claim a warranty on a carbon G4, which has been spec'd on the highest end Trek Sessions and Giant Advanced for a while, so that's saying something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and so we have a lot of our like World Cup and EWS riders on the carbon guides for that same reason. Like definitely costs us more to provide them those parts, but they last longer.
It's worth it. Yeah.
Not to say that our aluminum parts are, flimsy by any means, but just repeated hits and everything, that carbon will flex back and maintain its shape. So, pro tip. Saves a little bit of weight, more durable. Okay, race news. What's been going on?
We've had a ton of action out there, and our athletes are doing great, which is always awesome to see. So,
of course, because their chains are secured with
right.
MRP
And
chain
they've
guides.
got our suspension on there.
And their suspension is working superbly.
Of course. So we'll start off with the Big Mountain Enduro. It was not that long ago, and you were there.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. In Eagle, Colorado, as part of the GoPro Games. There was a lot of big names there, including the Giant Factory Off-Road team, which we support. Josh Carlson was there. I think he came home in like 4th.
Yep, he got 4th place, yeah. Right behind him, we had Nate Hills. The Follow Cam Friday fame.
Yeah, check that out if you haven't. Follow Cam Friday.
He got 6th, and then our one of our ribbon team riders, Scott Countryman, was right behind him in 8th. So everybody's kind of stacked up.
Scott Countryman, Kona Bikes, crushing it this year.
And then over on the women's side, we just picked up and started working with Cooper Ott at a Crested Butte, and she got 1st place riding her Trek. Or does she have a...
She usually rides a Slash for enduros, but she was on her Trek Fuel for this race. She actually came by the office right before the race, and we put on a 1-by for her.
Yeah. So that helped her out. 1st place again for her. She's had a lot of firsts already stacked up this season. And then Ray Morrison was 3rd, and she's on that giant team riding for Liv.
Yeah.
Women's line of bikes. So that's a Big Mountain Enduro. And then same weekend over in Angel Fire was a Scott Enduro Cup.
Yeah.
And our women were strong there. Portia Murdoch with the 1st place, and then Teal Stetson Lee in 3rd, and she's another ribbon team rider for us. And then we've got a new youngster, Brigitte Morris, that in the expert field, she took 2nd, but she actually was paced for 1st the whole time, just had a flat in the last stage, so she would have had that. But
yeah, she's riding really strong.
Rider. Yeah.
I think she's going back to Angel Fire this coming weekend for the Pro GRT to race downhill, so she's doing everything. So I raced short track with her last night, so short track, downhill.
She's going to do it all right now.
Enduro,
slightly jealous.
Everything.
So then over on the international side, the Downhill World Cup. The last stop, we had Bernard Kerr landing on the podium in 5th place. He's been having a really great season, and so has Connor Fearon. He's having a huge year for him, getting in the top 10 with the 10th place.
Yeah, Kerr's been killing it. He did have an awful crash, though.
A terrible crash last weekend.
Go look at his Instagram.
If you want to wince a lot, you can go watch that video.
It's not like gory, but it's like, ooh.
It's painful looking for sure. You broke a lot of important things.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know exactly what injuries he got out of it. I know he got concussed.
He had a lot of ribs, concussion, and maybe the
he'll be down for the count for a while, but he'll come back stronger than ever, I'm sure.
He will. And then Crankworks, Leger, and we're in the middle of, they just started the 2nd stop.
In Innsbruck. It's a new place.
Yeah.
New venue for them.
They kind of go back to back. But last weekend, Joe Kintner, always strong, another 1st in the pump track for her. She's defending her Queen of Crankworks title. And then she took a 4th in the air downhill and 5th in the downhill events. So her points are getting racked up pretty well. Yeah. And then Emily Siegenthaler, she's been having a great year already, just landing podiums in the downhills. And then she did Crankworks air downhill, got a 2nd there, and then a 3rd in the downhill race there as well. So she's off to like her best season ever right now. So super fun to watch. And then for us, just to mention another couple demo events that are coming up, we're going to be in Snowmass this weekend.
Tomorrow.
That's right, starting tomorrow. So you come demo some bikes for free. And then we'll be up in Oregon for Mountain Bike Oregon.
Yeah, we're excited about that one. We've never been to Oregon before. Well, I haven't.
No, I haven't ridden there. So
I think I've driven through it. But
yeah, it's time to take some bikes. So
yeah,
July 14th through 16th, come see us there.
Yeah.
That's race and demo news.
Yeah. And other news, did you see this hat?
I did see this hat.
Yeah. We've got new hats available in the web shop.
I have another one.
They're pretty sweet.
Right here.
Little collaboration we did with a local woodworker. So this patch is actually laser engraved, I think.
Yeah, it's a bamboo. Yeah.
So they're pretty sweet. They're on our web shop now. We got this lovely navy color and camo available.
Yep. We have a heather gray. We'll get some more coming.
So check those out there on the web shop now.
Yeah.
What's next? Happy to shred?
Happy to shred.
Happy to shred moment.
So our Happy to Shred moment comes from Scott Countryman. We have a great photo of him, and his caption is, "More of this, please." It looks like a great time in a rock garden there.
Yeah, I think, looking at the photo, I think this is probably down in Santa Fe for the first PME stop at that Glorietta.
It looks
very rocky.
Yes.
That race was very rocky from what I understand. So.
Yeah.
Looks good. Scott's doing well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's on a tear this season already. So.
He's a Kona grassroots rider, but I think actually maybe he moved up to like the national level of support this year. But he's already got a couple
That's awesome.
wins and yeah, crushing it.
Yeah.
Good job, Scott.
So we want to feature your photos. So use our hashtag #HappyToShred on Instagram and tag us in those if you want to be featured on the next show.
Yeah, do that. I think that's it for us.
That's it.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for
We'll
watching.
catch you next time. We'll try to do this on a monthly basis.
That's right.
All right, peace out.